Okay, bear. Needed a snack. Chapter 17. The appended submarine continues to sink, slowly but surely. A long, long journey to the bottom of the sea. Glenn and the little lady found the darkness, and the salt water closing in on them. But at the very last second, something saved them. Now it looks down at them quietly. My head is filled with one giant question. What in the world is this thing? Ick. It should probably be obvious. I see you managed to survive, Detective. Here. Excuse my appearance. I seem to have lost my body. Oh, and you there. You're the ghost who's been saving me all evening, aren't you? Why you knew about me all along? Of course. What else would explain all those unnatural things happening? If you knew, how come you didn't do anything about it all this time? And how come you decided to save us all of a sudden? I thought you wanted to get revenge on us. I don't really know. Please, you gotta tell me. I need to know. in the world are you? That's Sissel. Look at you. What happened? I can't hold onto that image of myself any longer. You can't remember who you are. That's right. I came all this way tonight trying to chase down my lost memory. For quite a bit of tonight. I thought I was you, Sissel. Sissel? My name isn't Sissel. I bet you remember really soon. Who you are and who I am too. What? The man in front of me is not me. I'm even further away from the truth. Or maybe not. Something is stirring in my mind. A memory about to emerge. Do I know this man? Now that I've shed my image of myself, I feel like I'm one step closer to the truth. They got us good. It's all over for this submarine. Its engine room is destroyed. There's a hole in the hull, and it's sinking as we speak. What are you doing here? I thought you had a deal with those people. They betrayed me. I was a fool to trust them. Betrayal. They already have what they wanted now. The Temsic fragment. I didn't know they had it all figured out. You mean they figured out the source of your powers? Yeah, that meteorite's radiation has two effects on living creatures. It gives power and time. If you don't mind, we'd like to hear more. These 10 years. I've been watching the junkyard superintendent do his research. And I think I've kind of got some of it figured out. The meteorite's radiation gives spirits special powers. Like possessing and manipulating objects. And in my case, swapping objects. Exactly. Apparently, there are individual differences in the powers we get. And it seems these powers change as time goes by. They do. Yeah. My powers have changed over these past 10 years. At first, I could only manipulate small living creatures. Now then, how do you suppose we got these powers? It's simple. It is. How then? In a nutshell. We died while exposed to the energy emitted by the meteorite. Its radiation. That's what does it, dying while being exposed to the radiation. On that day 10 years ago. A fragment of that meteorite pierced my heart and I died. So of course I received special powers. minute. Is that how I got my powers too? This was incredibly lampshaded. If you remember where we saw Missile. In the meteorite crater. You know, you might be right. Aren't the Temsic remnants still right there in that park, at the bottom of the crater? You're right. So that must mean... I must have died in the presence of the meteorite's radiation, too. Another effect the meteorite's radiation has on us is that it gives us time. Again, I think this time effect is centered around the theme of death, but it's not all that clear. So the fact that I can return to 4 minutes before a person's death. Is another effect of that meteorite. Yeah, it reverses fate Temsic, right? One of the characteristics of that meteorite is its ability to replay the moment of death. Replay the moment of death. This is all so strange and confusing. I can't take it all in. Says the person who has died 5 times tonight. It makes about as much sense to me as anything else. Yeah, strange and confusing, that just about sums up the object that pierced my body that day. thanks to that meteorite fragment. My very existence is a contradiction. What do you mean? That day. When the fragment pierced my heart, I lost my life. However, because it remained inside of me, that fragment continued to constantly regenerate my body. In other words, my body was continuously cycling between the moments that separated my life and death. What? My body's vital functions stopped 10 years ago. But my body's time is perpetually stopped at the moment just before death. Just like a vampire. Time just stopped, huh? So I just simply existed, not really alive, and not really dead. Also, just like a vampire. That pretty much sums up these last 10 years for me ever since the incident in the park. My body hasn't aged a day. My hair hasn't grown an inch. He's a scammer. Spooked. Come to think of it, that old pigeon guy mentioned something. Y'all beating me up, right? He said he couldn't cut this guy's body with the scalpel. I guess as soon as an incision was made, his body would be regenerated with, like Wolverine. Before I left this country, I wanted to do one thing. Get gamer. I wanted to get revenge on the people who stole our lives. Our lives. As part of the deal, I made those guys promise to cooperate. Cooperate? You mean the kidnapping? IT all went fine. I manipulated the justice minister and made him issue the execution order. But I thought he might call off the execution at the last second. So, that's what you wanted his daughter kidnapped. So that's why you wanted his daughter kidnapped. But they kidnapped the wrong girl. Little did I know. They had their own reasons for cooperating with me. Huh. Their objective was to wipe out everybody who had to do with Temsic. Detective Jode was one such person, so they were happy to cooperate. Inspector Cabanella and that junkyard super, they were slated to be wiped out too. And as it turns out, I was one of their targets as well. So they stole my Tempsic fragment, and here I am. But they had one more final target. You, detective. Me. If you weren't there in the park that day 10 years ago, If you weren't there in the park that day 10 years ago, I never would have thought of doing something as stupid as taking a hostage. Okay. But I was just a little kid playing in the park. Yeah, I know. Huh. "10 years later, and you'd become a detective looking into Zhou case. Then I invited you to a quiet spot on the edge of town. It was a trap, you see. I told you who I was. You never saw my face that day 10 years ago. So, of course, you didn't recognize me. I took possession of you to make you shoot me. Your subconscious has resisted me such incredible power. It was the first time I wasn't able to control somebody completely. The aim was off, and the first shot missed the mark. The junkyard was equipped with security cameras. I knew you'd be wanted for murder. That was my plan anyway. But they had other ideas. They simply wanted you wiped out. But then, something threw a big monkey wrench into their scheme. I showed up. I was supposed to meet up with them after that. But then something went wrong. What happened? My body disappeared. Ah, the inspector in Witua is responsible for that one. Haha. The inspector in white was responsible for that one. My precious bargaining chip was in that body. I had to get it back, no matter what. The inspector caused me no end of trouble. But why were those people targeting me? I never even heard of the Temsic meteorite. Because you were looking into the Jowd case. Because you were looking into the Jowd case. They thought you would find out about Temsic sooner or later. "40 minutes of exposition later." And that pretty much the whole story. The only thing left to do now is wait for water pressure to crush the submarine. Oh no! There are no cores that link from here to the water surface. I have an idea. We hook up the phone line and there are no communication cables down this deep. They meant for this submarine to be my coffin, a coffin for the dead. There's no escape. I think I kind of understand now. What you've been feeling these 10 years. You what? This feeling cut off from the world, all alone in a submarine. Sinking slowly toward the bottom of an endless web. This must be how you felt all along. Blood. Okay, Camilla. Is it true? We're stuck here? What? Oh. If my dad. If my dad was here, I bet he'd save us. Oh, Camilla, I'm so sorry. That's funny. What is it, Cecil? There's something I don't understand. Why would they go to all the trouble of detaching the control room? What? Why didn't they just steal the Temsic fragment and escape if that's what they wanted? Why did they have Ito jettison your body off into the sea? Why did they have to jettison your body off into the sea? That's a good question. But I guess it doesn't matter why now. We'll never find it again. We have no idea where it was launched to. Wait a minute. Yes, we do. This will tell us where Detective Jout is. That present from the inspector in white? Just to maybe side note. Radio waves do not transmit through water. Only low frequencies do. Cause radio only works through the air. The radio waves used for submarines are like under 30s, like literally in hearing range. At any rate, actual submarines communicate by sound. That present from the inspector in white. That's right. Detective Jout told me to hold on to it for him. Amazing how all these coincidences line up. Amazing how all these coincidences line up. And the bullet is still in this person's body in the command room, right? Then we should be able to tell exactly where it is with this. Good buff. Even if we find out where it is, how do we get there? We should be able to figure something out between the three of us. With our powers right, Miss Lynn. Without our powers combined, we are Captain Dead Guy. Rare. Oh, and wait a minute. What about the torpedo? A torpedo. In any case, it's way too early to give up. Come. It looks like Detective Joe is our last hope. Come on, let's get started. Nom nom submarine grapes. The torpedo room, huh? There might be another torpedo left there. I'll go check it out. Oh, I get it. You're going to use a missile to ram the control room. I know. We all know about RAM. We won't want Glow Detective showed up, but something like that. Well, I don't know about Graham. We don't want to blow Detective Jout up, but something like that. We'll climb up to the torpedo room too. Up is definitely safe to it. Okay, I'll see you there then. It looks like the torpedoes can be launched manually with these switches. There are 2 tubes, so there should be 1 more left. I guess the first thing we have to do is load it into the tube. Shake out any rats first. When it comes to missiles, you can count on me. I'll enter the coordinates of the command room into the torpedo. And I just turned on the backup power. We ought to be able to use the switches now. Okay, let's try it. Good luck. What will happen to these 2 ladies? I think enough fuse in our powers. I think that's up to us and our powers. What? This is no time to be standing around, unsure of ourselves. Will you lend me your strength, missile? Nay, of course I will. Count on it. There we go. That torpedo looks serviceable. All set on this end, too. But something's off. What is? The command room. It looks like it's slowly sinking. Sinking. Feels like it's completely run out of power. I wonder what happened. Yeah, like it's completely run out of power. I wonder what happened. I don't know, but I guess I'll find out. Break open to the missile. I'll launch it free. Okay, thanks. I've already set the torpedo's course. It'll head toward the command room where Detective Jaro is. Seconds after launching, it'll pass by the command room for an instant. That instant will be your opportunity to jump over to the command room. Okay, got it. And then we'll find a way to come back and save you. That'll probably be my last task tonight. Just hold on until we get back. Okay, Timon Missile. 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 Oh. I'm sorry. I can't go. What? I just can't. How could I leave? I can't leave Miss Lynn and Miss Camilla behind. I can't do it. Miss L. I swapped the switches so the missile can be launched. You'll have to do the rest, Cecil. I can't do it either. I can't ask Miss L to come with me after that. I understand exactly how he feels. I want you to go, Missile. What? But Miss Lynn? You staying here won't change our fate. But if you go with Cecil, you might be able to make something happen. And that's our only hope. But what if that something doesn't happen? I'll never be able to see you again. Never, ever again. Even I can understand that. I couldn't stand that. Don't worry, Messiah. Miss Camilla. I just know you and Sissy can make something happen. I believe in you. I'll be right here waiting for you. We'll see each other then. Don't worry. Miss Kimla. That's a good boy, Miss Al. Now are you ready? Remember, it's 12 seconds after I throw this switch. We're ready. Sissel. Yes. We never found out who you really were. But that doesn't matter now. All I know is, I'm truly glad I met you tonight. Thank you for everything. And I'm glad I met you, Detective. But we're going to see each other again, right, Sissy? Right, Miss O? That right. We promise, little lady. Of course we will. I'll never forget you no matter what happens. Here goes then. Good luck, friend. These 12 seconds are lasting an eternity. I tried to think of a way to save Lynn and the little lady the whole time. But how can a ray of light, of hope, reach this far down into the deep sea? Before I can think of an answer, the 12 seconds are up. Detective Joud. I bet that big masked man did this. I'm going to bite him. You'd better not. You might break your teeth. Says one, goes to another. The command room has lost power and is sinking. So I wonder what this masked man is going to do. Let's talk to Detective Joe. How? See, 2 cores. Sorry for the wait, Detective Joud. Who are you? Are you Sissel? Please excuse my appearance. I can't believe you made it here. How is Kamala? And what about Lynn? Well, it's kind of a long story. I told Detective Joud about everything that happened on the submarine, you know. So the submarine is badly damaged. Why would he do that to his own submarine? I wish I knew. I know the answer to that one. It's because he's afraid of my powers. You. You followed us? I didn't even notice. It's been 10 long years, Detective Joud. Are you? Yeah, you. So you remember me, do you? How could I possibly forget? So that's your real name, huh? Yomio. That's right. But those people on the Yonawa were calling you Sissel. That's just an alias I was using for my deal with them. I didn't see any need to tell them my real name. Makes sense. Could you do me a favor? Would you let me ask you some questions? I've been trying to find out my true identity all night. Sure, go ahead. I'm sure there's plenty we can still tell you. Right, Detective Jowd? Right. Ten years ago. You were a top systems engineer, weren't you? Systems engineer. What that? By the way, I'm a top Pomeranian, you know. Well, it's kind of hard to explain to a dog, but it's a person who's good at using computers. I don't mean to brag, but I was one of the best in the industry. That's how I got roped into joining that project. Project? What project? It was a project aimed at organizing the nation's top secret information. Oh no, he was Snowden. The goal was to build a new system using multidimensional programming theory. I was asked to join that project by an agent of the government. I was asked to join the project by an agent of the government. It doesn't sound like something a top Pomeranian would know anything about. To me, it just sounded like another challenging job. However, this project was also the target of a secret plot. I bet you can imagine the kind of crime the nation's top secrets might attract. I never thought for the life of me I'd ever have to deal with spies. It was never made public, but every organization in the country moved on this one. And then, one day, the name of a certain programmer emerged as a suspect. I was the guy who built the core of the system. The police arrested you, and then the incident happened. He escaped from the interrogation room and took little Lynn hostage. By the way, Detective Joe. When was it that I was proven innocent? About 6 months after your death. I'm so sorry, Yomiel. And this is why Joe knew Sissel was not the person with the face. "10 years ago." My soul was split from my body and I lost everything. I was sealed in eternal darkness. I existed in this world. Oh, it's automatic. But nobody noticed my presence. What good were my powers? Not even the passage of time could heal my pain. In fact, it only made it worse. I wanted to disappear. But I wasn't even allowed to do that. The way Lynn described it is exactly right. Sinking slowly toward the bottom of an endless sea. An overwhelming feeling of loneliness and despair. And I wanted all of you to suffer what I was suffering. And so that's why you murdered Oma. That right. I wanted you to know what it was like to lose everything you cared about. I wanted you to know what it was like to lose everything you cared about. I wanted you to feel the same pain I felt. You are supposed to sympathize with this guy now. Even though he basically was a complete psychopath for the previous 2 chapters. What? It was the twisted wish of a mind poisoned by infinite loneliness. And then... as I was plotting my revenge, I had an idea. I came up with a plan to use these powers of mine to make a deal. There's something I just don't understand about that deal. I'm sure your powers would be very valuable to them. Bah. What would you get out of the deal? A new life. Life. I asked them for 2 conditions. Number 1 was that they help me with my revenge plot. And the second was a rebirth for me. Rebirth. A new beginning, eh? Rebirth. A new beginning, eh? I didn't care if it was a fake life, an artificial life. I just wanted a physical receptacle for my soul, a name, an identity, an everyday life. I wanted to grow old in a society that would accept me. And finally, I wanted to die, surrounded by a loving family. That's the kind of life I asked them for. A completely man-made life. That's right. I knew I couldn't hope for anything more than that. To make it all come true, I knew it would take a lot of money and a lot of power. That's why I decided to ask the national government to help me. And their response in the end. Was betrayal. Betrayal. They were making their moves much more carefully than I suspected. They sent spies to this country and researched my powers on their own. In. They even figured out what Temsic was all about. and you had no idea they were doing all this. None at all. I was a fool. So though. Why did they go to all the trouble of making a deal with you? Why didn't they just steal a hunk of the Temsic meteorite from the park? They couldn't. Ha. After the manipulator incident's resurrect was conducted in this country too. After the manipulator incident's research was conducted in this country too. A report was submitted to the government about the source of the manipulator's power. By Inspector Cabanela and the old pigeon guy. At first, the government didn't believe the report. Well, why would you believe such a crazy thing? It's like UFOs. Hey, aliens walk among us. All those flashing lights in the sky, not street lamps, UFOs. Nobody really believes that stuff. And yet if the government suddenly does, it creates a panic. Good God, can you imagine what would happen if UFOs were revealed to be real by the crazy idiots in some governments? Any. At first, the government didn't believe the report. But then, they decided to put the park under surveillance, just in case. Surveillance, huh? It just looks like an ordinary peaceful park, but there are armed agents there at all times. Crazy guy. Don't tell me that a leaf-like guy is one of them. No, not him. He's just a plain old odd person. No, not him. He's just a plain old odd person. That park is like a silent battlefield on an international scale. So that's why they couldn't steal the Tenshi meteorite. And lately, under the pretense of building a housing site. They've been working on a plan to destroy that park in order to secure the Tenshi meteorite. So that's it today. See the upshot of your grand deal. Was this a? Yeah, it's the ending I deserve. But at least there's one thing you must be happy about. What that? You've managed to seal me away at the bottom of the sea forever. What? Shall we get started? Started with what? Bringing Detective Joe back to life, of course. What? What good will that do now? But we promised. We promised Miss Lynn and Miss Camilla we'd save them. And we can't do that without you, Detective Joe. I've been guided by fate tonight to this place. I won't give up now. All right, fine. Let's see where it leads us. Here we go then. Be active 4 minutes before your death. Back to 4 minutes before your death. Sis. Yep. Where are we headed? We are not headed anywhere, Detective. What? There was only enough fuel on board to launch us away, Detective. We will run out soon, and that will be our destination, Detective. What are you talking about? That would mean. That you're trapped here, too. This was never a surprising revelation, even when I played it the first time. By the way, I'm not human, Detective. I am a remote-controlled robot detective. What? Your country's use of technology. It's just plain off. I was always expecting a different revelation given how they all had blue skin. We get that a lot, Detective. Why would you go to all the trouble to do this? That's nothing but a shell there. It's hardly a threat anymore. Commander Sid likes to provide against any possibility, no matter how small, detective. Possibility. What are you talking about? There is no need for you to know, Detective. Now it is time to say goodbye, Detective. In the end, your fate remains the same, it seems, Detective. Gear. Camilla, forgive me. Oh no, he's gonna be strawberry jam. It isn't over yet. It isn't. Remember what that big masked man said. Any possibility, no matter how small. Possibility. In other words, there must be a chance here somewhere. The possibility of turning this situation around. Ah. What is it, Detective? Look at your shell. There's no aura emanating from his bottom. Of course there isn't. The Temsic fragment is gone. Could this change in his shell? Give us some kind of lead. I figured it out. I know what this possibility, no matter how small, is that they are afraid of. What is it? My time was perpetually stopped thanks to the power of Tenshi. His body cycled between the moments that separated his life and death. Right, but not anymore. The Temsic fragment has been taken away. Exactly. So what does that mean? Well, what have we been doing all night? I get it. Your body won't come back to life anymore. The moment the Temsic fragment was removed, my shell became a regular corpse. So, let's see that means. We can go back to 4 minutes before your death. But wait a minute. Exactly when is that death? Try and find out. That's simple. We'll find out. I think I've jumped the punchline a half-dozen times. When we get there, let's move. Ready? I fell back through the cracks of time for what seemed like forever, and then I saw it. The final death at the end of this long night. Who exactly am I? I've already seen all of the clues. All I have to do now is remember. The final journey to the truth starts now. Be right back.